Hello everyone, good morning, and tell me how are you all? So, today I'm going to teach you, we are going to discuss about, of course, we are uh, going to continue our session of PYQ explanation, shift second. In our last class, we have discussed like 20 questions, and today we'll try to complete 30 more questions. So you will have 50 questions done in two classes, and of course we'll have paper 1 today and also criticism. So make sure you are there, and for just like a couple of minutes I'll give you a break. I'm just preparing one um coffee, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Just be there, don't go. You can also grab some coffee, and if you receive the printed material of the this book, you can also keep it with you. So anyway, uh, I'll be back in just 2 minutes. So, yes, I'm here, I'm back, and we'll start our class. As I told you, we'll start our class with a story. And first of all, who have joined now, for them, I've already told you that we are continuing our class, and this is especially for the paid group, whoever is in the class. So in our previous class we have discussed shift 1 and also shift 2 first 20 questions we have already discussed. So now we are going to continue with that. I hope you can you are able to uh, see it properly. If not, tell me, I can just change. We can continue with the PDF format. This is our ebook. We are teaching from ebook now, and if you don't want printed material, you can have this ebook as well. So first, let me tell you a story. So I have come up with a story, and it is about a housewife and how she has achieved her dream of becoming a professor. So, uh, Meera, it is about a story about Meera, who's a successful housewife. So Meera was a housewife and she has 2 children and a busy household to manage. And however, despite her responsibility, she had always dreamed of becoming a professor and qualifying the NET exam. And many of her fellow housewives had told her that it was impossible to prepare for the exam while being a housewife. And but Meera refused to give up on her dream. She wanted to become a professor, so that is her dream, and to overcome these challenges of a housewife who face these kind of problem. So we'll just see, to overcome her challenges, Meera found some innovative ways to make the most of her time. So whenever she was in the kitchen, she would watch educational videos on her phone and take notes on her subject. She would also listen to podcasts during her daily walks and read books on her subject while her children were taking nap. So at night, after finishing her household chores, Meera would solve previous year question papers, mock tests, to improve her knowledge and gain confidence. Because she was determined to make the most of every spare minute she had. So, after 2 months of consistent effort and dedication, Meera appeared for the exam. Although she was nervous, she felt confident that she had prepared well. A few weeks later, the results were announced, and to her delight, she had successfully passed the exam with flying colors. Her family and friends were shocked to hear the news and praised her for her hard work and dedication. They realized, no, that if Meera could achieve her dream despite her busy schedule, anyone could do the same with a little determination and perseverance. So, what Meera's stories teaches us that no matter how busy our lives may be, we should never give up on our dreams. With hard work and dedication, we can achieve anything we set our minds to, no matter how difficult it may seem. So we should always strive to make the most of our time and find innovative ways to pursue our goals. Like just like Mira did. So make sure, don't never give up on your dream. If you think like we have less time, think of Mira. If Mira can do it, why can't you? You will also be able to do this. You will achieve your dream. For what? How? You have to be consistent for, you know, some period of time. Depends on how you prepare. So anyway, 2 months is enough, but here we have 1 month. As I told you last time, story about about Karthik, who how he cleared the exam with JRF by doing only PYQs. So that's why we are only focusing on PYQ in this limited time. So we can just continue our class. I hope this story will help you, boost you for your preparation. So anyway, we have discussed first 20 question. First was like something about Shakespeare. Who said it? It was John Milton. So we have discussed all the questions. Let me know if you can see the video properly, or do you want me to zoom it or do it in PDF so you can see clearly. If you are using laptop, then you should not face any problem, but if you are using mobile phone, it might be difficult. But anyway, we'll just zoom and see how it works. Otherwise, we'll just go and continue with PDF. So we have discussed all these 20 questions. Today we are discussing about 21. Question number 21. So question number 21 says, I think now you can see it clearly. So in question number 21, it is asking, who among the following is not a member of Frankfurt School? Remember previously they have asked about Frankfurt School, and again we have the follow-up question regarding Frankfurt School. So it is Louis Althusser who was not a member of Frankfurt. A Frankfurt School is actually related to what is Marxism, and we have explanation. Louis Althusser is not a member of Frankfurt School. He is a French Marxist philosopher, was associated with the structuralist movement. The other three names mentioned here, like Max Horkheimer, Theodore Adorno, and Herbert Marcuse, they are they belong to the school of the Frankfurt School. So other explanation we have is actually the Frankfurt School, as we say, it is a German social theorist and philosophers associated with the Institution for Social Research at the Goethe University in Frankfurt. So another university I told you about, Birmingham, that is for the cultural center. So the school was active from the 1920s to until 1960s, and it is a particular field about critical theory, cultural study, and sociology. So here are the list of the members that we have. This is the list of all the members that they belong to the school of Frankfurt School. So again, Max Horkheimer, Theodore Adorno, Herbert Marcuse, Eric Fromm, Frederick Bullock, Walter Benjamin, Jürgen Habermas, Alfred Schmidt, and the others. That remember. So these two, Adorno and Horkheimer theory of culture industry, this also belongs to the Frankfurt School, that is basically based on Marxism, which argued that mass culture serves to reinforce status quo and perpetuate the domination of the ruling class. They were also interested in the relationship between capitalism, culture, and the role of technology and mass media in modern society. So again, I'm gonna ask a couple of more things. As mass culture and popular culture is related to what? Majority of people, and it is something related with television and mass media and other thing. And again, there is one high culture, and high culture is for what? It is for people who belong to the elite society, like they have some, art. They have different high class, elite society, like culture, like one is art, music, or literature. So they have their different classes, so that is called high culture. Then again, we are for subaltern, which is for the lower people, not lower people, but like marginalized society, like racism sometime, black or Dalit, and these all belong to the subaltern culture. So remember this. Question number 22 says, which of the following method is the oldest for teaching? So whenever comes to teaching English language, also they ask about the order. So remember, the first one is the grammar translation method. So it always comes first. And why it is the oldest? Because it was widely used in the 18th and 19th century as a way of teaching classical language such as Latin and Greek. The method involves a focus on memorizing vocabulary, grammatical rules, and translating between the target language and the native language. So remember, when it comes to the teaching English language, you should remember the first method comes is the grammar translation method, and then again the direct and the situation method. So that was our question number 22. Now we have other explanation. We added here. We already discussed about the grammar translation method, and it was widely used in 18th and 19th century, and again it focused on the memorizing vocabulary and grammatical rules. Direct method is something that uses in the classroom and seeks to immerse student in the language in much the same way as they would learn their native language. So the focus is on communication. Students learn through listening, speaking, reading. So that is called direct. Bilingual involves two methods. Like in India, most of us learn by bilingual. So this method involves the use of both native and target language. Suppose I'm learning English language, I would use Hindi language to help to learn our target language, which is English. So with the aim of promoting bilingualism, facilitating the transfer of skills from one language to the other. It can be effective for students who are literate in their native language and can help to maintain their linguistic and cultural identities. Again, question number 23 is in your screen. Again, one more is there, the situation method, and this situation method is also used in teaching language, and Students learn language by practicing it in realistic situations, such as ordering food in a restaurant or buying a ticket at a train station. So the focus is on communication, functional language use rather than on grammar and vocabulary memorization. So, in the area of theory and research known as second language, again, one more follow-up question is there. It is also related to second language. The first one was language teaching, and here is a second language acquisition. So again, two question is coming from the language and linguistic and language. So this is about the language. So question number 23, in the area of theory and research known as second language acquisition, in short form SLA, the classroom is considered what? So these are the option here. An ideal model for research, a site of no use, a site that always produce language learning block code, and experimental laboratory. So second language is an experimental laboratory, and the classroom is often viewed as naturalistic laboratory where language learning takes place in a complex, dynamic and interactive environment. So the classroom provides the settings, as we know, where a student can practice and apply their language skills in a relatively controlled environment. So now we have language learning and now second language acquisition, which actually is based on the classroom learning, and the classroom settings provide what? Can practice and apply their language skills in a relatively controlled environment under the guidance of a teacher. So that is our SLA. Again, we have more think about this. I think in this group most of you have already got the book. With that you can read it properly. So question number 24 says the arrival of this slide actually I don't feel good. I don't know, it's much attractive. We can just go with the one that we were doing before. I think this is better and much more clear, right? So we were in question number 23, I think. Okay, 24. Now question number 24 is on your screen and you have to answer this. You want me to zoom more? I can just do that too. One more zoom. A little bit less. That's perfect. Yes, that's perfect. So question number 24 again from linguistics. So we have 3 questions based on that, language and linguistic. So it says the arrival of corpus linguistics has revitalized what? The writing of observation based grammar. And we have explanation. The arrival of corpus linguistics has revitalized the writing of observation based grammar by providing what? Linguistics with large and diverse database of language use that can be analyzed being computational tools. So question number 25. Now 3 questions from language. Now we are getting 3 from research. 1 is already we have discussed in beginning of the this shift second explanation. So question number 25 says, which of the following is not one of don't of writing a dissertation or thesis? What should be uh, do not? So compiling a bibliography as soon as the work is started, it is actually does, it is not don't. Yes, right. Avoid jargon wherever possible. Don't nahi hai. Of course it is does. We should avoid jargon uh, wherever it's possible. It should be kept in mind that a dissertation or a thesis should take place, take the form of an argument in which the writer must attempt to convince the reader of his or her case. So this is also does, it is not don't. So the option fourth is our don't. So a researcher should not bother about the use of proper scholarly convention from the very beginning. So it is like, yes, we have to do this. So this is our option, and explanation is there. A researcher should not bother about the use of the proper scholarly convention from the very beginning is one of the don't of the writing a dissertation or thesis. It is important to adhere to proper scholarly convention of formatting, citation, referencing from the very beginning of the writing process to ensure that the final work is of high quality and meets the standards of academic writing. So this is one of the important, and neglecting to follow these convention can be result in lower quality work or even accusation of plagiarism. So compiling a bibliography as soon as possible the work is started is our do. We should do, as it can help a researcher to keep track of sources and organize their research more effectively. Avoid jargon as another one, which is wherever possible is also our do, and as it can make the work more accessible to a wider audience. It is also important to keep in mind that a dissertation or thesis should take the form of an argument which the writer attempts to convince the reader of their case. This is all we will discuss in our paper 1, second unit, research. So you will have more clear idea about it. That is better. We can just zoom. Okay, question number 26. In which year did the Indian Education Commission, the sixth commission in the history of the Indian education? So it is asking about which year the Indian Education Commissioner under the chairman of Dr. D.S. Kothari submitted its report. We know 56 is an important date for UGC, but for the Kothari it is 1966. So remember, this date is very important, and it is not only does not only ask in paper 2 but also in paper 1 most of the time. So remember this date, 1966. We have discussed, no? Yes, 25 we have already discussed. So little bit explanation about it. Indian Education Commission under the chairman of Dr. Kothari submitted its report in the year 1966, and the commission is known as Kothari Commission, was the sixth commission in the history of Indian education and was appointed by the government of India in 1964 to determine the state of education in India, to suggest measure for its improvement. Question number 27, again related to education. So remember, we found three questions from language, uh, three questions from research, and now in education three questions. So remember, 12 questions are from different from language and education and uh, what was it, research. So these kind of question you will, at least 10 question you will get it. So remember, these 10 question gives you 20 marks. So, and these are very straightforward, you don't have to study too much for it. And we have the you will find everything in the notes as well. Anyway, question number 27 says, again it is about education. It is asking about a person who was the chairman of the University Education Commission of 1948. Sorry for this mistake. So it was Babu Rajendra Prasad, D.S. Kothari, or Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, or S. Radhakrishnan. So answer is S. Radhakrishnan. Either S. Radhakrishnan was the chairman of the University Education Commission of 1948. So we have to remember all the dates from 48, 56, 66, 76, 86. So these are the dates that we have to remember. And we have the in the previous they were asking about Kothari mission, that was in 66, and here they are asking about the first chairman, who was it, in 1948. It was Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, appointed by the government of India in 1948. And it actually university education in India to suggest what measure for its improvement. So Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, who later went on to become President of India, was a philosopher, a statesman, and a noted scholar of comparative religion. So remember these dates. Again, we have other explanation that it is very important that I have collected all the important dates and the president. So Babu Rajendra Prasad, D.S. Kothari, Maulana Abdul Kalam, and S. Radhakrishnan were all prominent Indian leaders and scholars who made significant contribution to the development of education in India. So first, Babu Rajendra Prasad was a freedom fighter and the first president of India. He was a strong advocate for the promotion of education in India and worked to establish several educational institutions like Bihar Vidyapeeth. Again, we have D.S. Kothari. As we know, he was the first chairman where in Indian Education Commission 1964. Maulana Abdul Kalam was also a freedom fighter and the first education minister of independent India. He was a strong advocate for the promotion of education. So they were all important figure to promoting Indian education. So particularly among Muslim community in India. So S. Radhakrishnan is also a philosopher, statesman, and he served as a chairman at the University of Education in 1948. Now again they are asking about which of the following is the first newspaper of India. So they are asking like 12-13 questions from completely different area. You know, I mean it's completely different from English literature. So they are asking these kind of questions these days. So which of the following is the first newspaper of India? It was Hickey's Bengal Gazette, and I have explained other also in the explanation. So Hickey's Bengal Gazette, also known as the Calcutta General Advisor, and is considered to be the first newspaper of India. It was founded by James Augustus Hickey in 1780s and was published from Calcutta in British India. The newspaper was known for its critical and satirical commentary on British India Company and its official, who often led to Hickey being arrested and imprisoned. So that's why Remember the name. First newspaper of India was Hickey's Bengal Gazette. Okay, founded by James August Hickey in 1780s, and it talks about, it satirizes British East India Company. So other explanations are also there. Again, we have discussed this. Second is Jones Calcutta Gazette, and this newspaper was also the first to be published in India. It was founded by Robert Kidd in 1780, just few months before Hickey Bengal Gazette. William Indian Gazette was also founded by David Hare, and it was in 1880. It was published from Calcutta and was also one of the earliest newspaper in India to be printed in Indian languages. So that's why this William Indian Gazette is important. So Salisbury Madras, another was there, and it was founded in 1795. It was published from Madras, which is now Chennai in British India, and was one of the earliest English language newspaper in South India. Question number 29, here is the code, and it is asking about, again, from the education. So now we have like 15 questions from completely different area, right? So 29th question says, the great object of the British government ought to be the promotion of European literature and science. You have to find who was the who made this comment. So in the comment says, and I quote, the great object of the British government ought to be the promotion of European literature and science among the natives of India. All funds appropriated for the purpose of education would be best employed on English education alone, because at that time, British government has some fund which was actually given for all kind of teaching in all Indian languages. But when Lord Macaulay said that it should only be spent where? Only in English education alone, not in other languages. So that was the main agenda for the policy. So who made the comment? It was Lord Macaulay. And why? Because he, as we know, he is the British politician and historian who expressed this view in famous speech he has given in the British Parliament in 1835. In this speech, Macaulay argued that the introduction of English education was essential for the modernization and progress of India. He believed that by teaching English to Indians, they would be exposed to the best European literature, science, and that this would help to create a class of educated Indians who would be more receptive to British rule and British culture. So that's why they have promoted it. So Macaulay's view on education had a profound impact on Indian British policy towards education in India, and English became the dominant language of higher education and administration in the country. And we have other explanation like Lord Macaulay, Sir Thomas Wood, we know all are notable figure in history of British colonization in India and played significant role in India. Macaulay, we know, for publishing his paper, it was Macaulay's Minutes, right? And Sir Charles Wood, it was Wood Dispatch, remember? And no, that's why he is remembered. So Lord William Bentinck, we have one Bentinck report. Governor, he was served as Governor General of India from 1828 to 1835, and he also introduced, he's actually reformed the Indian society, like abolition of sati and the introduction of English education. Arthur Mayhew is not well-known figure, but he is also a quick question number 30. Todd Kachru in 3 Circle of English observes that English speaking countries are separated into three groups, and we have to find the name of these three circles. So is it central or primary or inner? So inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle. So these three circles are there in Todd Kacharu's The Three Circle of English. And Brij Kacharu is actually an Indian linguist and professor of English at the University of Lyons at Urbana campaign in his book The Other Tongue, English Across Culture. So according to Kacharu, he divided English into three circles. One is inner, outer, and expanding. Inner is a country where English is the first language, and outer is where English include. Remember, in one question they have asked about the countries. In Todd Kacharu's inner circle, which country and where, what does it mean? So it includes countries where English is the first and has a long history of being spoken. So in inner circle, the countries include which English is their mother language. It is United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So this is inner circle. And in the outer circle, he include countries like India, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Singapore. And an expanding circle, he includes countries where English is taught as a foreign language as China, Japan, and South Korea. So which one of the following is false about V.S. Naipaul? Now it is asking about Naipaul. So he was about, it is actually false. It is asking about the false statement, not the right one. So he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2001. Yes, and he contributed the stories to the Trinidad Guardian, and that is also true. And he won Somerset Maugham Award for his Meagle Street. That is true. And the question is, the wrong answer is he won the Booker Prize for his novel A House for Mr. Biswas. He won the Booker Prize, but he is not for a house for Mr. Biswas, but something else. We'll just find out what is the answer. He won a Booker Prize for Free State, and remember, in a free state, not a house for Mr. Biswas. So he was, as we know, is a Trinidad, and he born in Trinidad and Tobago. He wrote both fiction and non-fiction, including works such as Bend in the River, The Enigma of Arrival, and Among the Believers. He contributed his story to the Trinidad Guardian. That is true. And he also won Somerset Maugham Award for his Meagle Street, and he won Booker Prize in 1971 for In a Free State, which is a novel. And also it won one more award, Cohen Prize for Lifetime Achievement in Literature in 1993. So that is about, he was also awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, that is very famous, 2001, and he died at the age of 85 in 2018. So question number 32. So if you're there, you just read it and let me know why second is correct. So which one of the following is false? So again, it is asking about research. So we have now 16 questions from different places. So remember that we have already encountered many different areas So if you are getting like that many question in an exam, and then you should really study these things. Don't stuck with English literature, because sometime what happens, they ask these kind of question, and 2023 was like that. So okay, the question number 31 we have discussed, no, right? It was about, okay, VS Naipaul. These are the events in his life, it happens. So you should remember this also. Okay, I just want to tell you couple of more things about VS Naipaul, because it is very important, and in every exam they ask about VS Naipaul. So anyway, all the same thing is there, so no need for further discussion. So you should remember all this. He won Nobel Prize in 2001. He won Booker Prize for In a Free State, and he's from Trinidad and Tobago, and wrote some work like A Bend in the River, The Enigma of Arrival, and Among the Believers. Which one of the following is false? Here we have to find the false statement. And an ideal literature should not cast himself back into the another age. And why is that? We have the explanation. Actually, the statement, an ideal state should not cast himself back into, is true statement, but it is important for literary research to have an understanding of the historical and cultural context in which a work of literature was written. And this requires the researcher to engage with the literature of the past and consider the ways in which the value and beliefs of earlier periods may have influence. So remember how many questions we got. An ideal literary should not cast himself back into the age. This is true because of the research must be able to approach literature from different time period. Anyway, there is so many explanation for others. You can get it in your book. So which of the following is true in the context of new criticism? So new criticism, it is talking about true statement in the context of new criticism. So it follows the tradition of historical criticism. In new criticism, historical criticism was not included. The main law of new criticism that it should be subjective analysis. So in new criticism, they were not talking about new criticism. Subjective analysis, but its background and other things as well in new criticism, and also the form. So the distinctive procedure for new critic is explication. So that is our correct statement, and why we have explained in the explanation box. So here in this section. So the distinctive procedure for new critic is explicate. This statement true in the context of why? Because it emphasizes close reading like textual analysis, which focus on internal coherence, unity of literary work, and explication in the process of analyzing and interpreting text through detailed examination of its language, form, and structure. So other explanations we have why these other statements are not true, because context of new criticism we have other statements. So remember, new criticism is emerged from United States in 20th century as a reaction against the dominant forms of literary criticism of time. So remember, new criticism emerged in United States 20th century. New critics emphasizing what? Close reading of the text itself as opposed to external factors such as author's life. So there is nothing related to author's life or historical context. So new critics only believes in close reading of text itself. New criticism stresses the importance of ambiguity, paradox, and irony in literature. So formal elements such as, so in new critic they analyze what imagery, metaphor, symbolism are as seen as a crucial to the interpretation of literary works in new criticism. And also the new critic believe that literary work should be viewed as unified as a whole, and its meaning should be derived from the interaction of its various elements. New criticism has had a significant impact on literary theory and criticism, and its influence can be seen in many other critical approaches that emphasizes close reading and formal analysis. Question number 34 is there. The pamphlet of the power of love 1643, proclaiming the importance of brotherhood as a means of achieving a radical change in the society, and it was written by social relationship. Change in social relationship was written by who? It was William Walvin. And why? It was written in the pamphlet called The Power of Love, which was published in 1643, and it proclaiming the importance of brotherhood as a means of achieving a radical change in social relationship was written by William Walvin. So the pamphlet The Power of Love by William Walvin. George Sainsbury is important literary historian and known for his works on English literature, particularly history of English poetry. F.R. Lewis is also literary critic and known for his advocacy of close reading. So F.R. Lewis belongs to the group of new critics. So remember that Gerard Winstanley was also political activist and writer known for his role in the English Civil War, his advocacy of agrarian socialism. So that is not that important, but remember these: F.R. Lewis, George Sainsbury, and the pamphlet of the power by William Walvin. So that was the question, something different. Again, question number 35 is here. Francis Bacon's The Advancement of Learning attempt to draw a distinction between two kinds of truth. You have to tell which one. We know one is scientific and you might get confused with the others, but remember he talked about theological truth and scientific truth. Very important. This they have asked in 2020 also. So explanations. Remember, do you think there is some different question that came in this? And no, they were all based on the previous one. So as I keep telling you, you should focus on PYQs. Okay. So in The Advancement of Learning, Francis Bacon distinguished between two kinds of truth: the truth of theology and the truth of philosophy or natural science. According to Bacon, theological truth was concerned with the spiritual realm and was based on faith and revelation. In contrast, scientific truth was concerned with the natural world and was based on empirical observation and experimentation. Question number 36 is in your screen, and it is a quote from this is a statement attributed to who? So it is it says, and I quote, "I shall be ambitious to have it said of me that I have brought philosophy out of closets and libraries, schools and colleges, to dwell in clubs and assemblies, at tea table and in coffee houses." This statement is made by Joseph Addison, and in where, when you should remember, when it comes like that, these kind of tea tables, coffee houses, when it was somewhere in Dr. Samuel Johnson's age. And who were the important figures at that time? Richard Steele, Joseph Addison, Charles Lamb and Johnson itself. So we have this statement here. It is made by Joseph Edition, who we know as a founder of the magazine Spectator, right? And an English, and he is also an English essayist, poet, and politician. His lifespan is 1670 to 1719. And Edition expresses his ambition to being a philosophy out of academics. Their purpose was to bring these philosophy out of the closet and take it to the coffee houses and general meeting clubs. So academic setting into the everyday world where it can be discussed and debated in informal settings such as coffee houses and clubs. So that was the main purpose of finding these magazines. Edition believed that philosophy should not be confined to the elite intellectual. According to him, it should not be into the high class society, but it can also for the general people. Again, now we come across some question based on the dates. So Dr. Johnson's Dictionary of the English Language was published in when? It was published in 1755. And as we know, it was published in 1755 by Dr. Johnson, and it was one of the most comprehensive dictionary of its time. Remember how many words it contained? 42,000 words. And the book containing more than 42,000 words and their definitions. So 42,000 words, it's like 42,000 chapters, no? Because one word has 2-3 pages of distance. So it's like a mass volume. So imagine what the book you are reading, it has 47,000 words, only words 47,000 words total, and here it is 42,000 just words, but their definition must have been like 4 to 5 lakh words of book, this dictionary. So the dictionary took Johnson almost 9 years. So remember 42,000, 1755, these are the keywords. 1755 was the publication day, date, and 42,000 words and 9 years to complete. And he took to define all these words, he took the examples from the great literary works like Shakespeare, Milton, and other. So that is very well researched dictionary. So 38, an essay of the principle of human action was written by William Hazlitt. Question number 39, which of the following is false about Frederick Douglass? So it is talking about Frederick Douglass. We know Frederick Douglass as that he was hugely from slave narratives. He belongs to the slave, he's a slave narrative writer. So Douglass autobiography belongs to the tradition of slave narrative popular. It is asking about the false. So that is true in our case. He provides a first person account of his life spent in slavery. That is also true because he wrote autobiographies, and he was famous as an orator dedicated to black liberalism. Yes, and he wrote Up from Slavery. It's not written by Up from Slavery, but it is written by Booker T. Washington. You should remember that. So some of the important fact about Douglass is his full name is Frederick Douglass. His birthplace is Tuckahoe, Maryland, which is in US. Date of birth 1818, not known properly, correctly. Early life, he was born in slavery and separated from his mother at a young age. Education, learned to read and write despite it being illegal to slave to do that. Escaped from slavery, successfully escaped from freedom in 1838, and he was the abolitionist activist actually I was thinking. So anyway, become a prominent abolitionist speaker and writer. and published his autobiography, Narrative of the Life of the Frederick Douglass. So he was also involved in civil war activities, and his political career was like he was U.S. Minister to Haiti. Death 1895 in Washington DC. Legacy, remembered as one of the most important figure. So anyway, question number 40 is in your screen, and we have already discussed 1 hour, and tomorrow today itself we'll finish 10 more questions, but not now, maybe in different class, because we have to post at least 10 questions in general YouTube, right? This is a private one, only you will be able to access, and the other like in between 10 questions will post there, so we'll have more students, then you can discuss more and you can achieve your goals together. So anyway, the phrase structure of feeling is attributed to what? The answer is Raymond Williams. To who? So structure of feeling is attributed to Raymond Williams. Raymond Williams, we know, is a Marxist, and he wrote most of his work related to Marxism, and his book is Marxism in Literature, has this phrase called structure of feeling. Remember that, quite important. And the term, it means actually it is a shared experience, attitude and value of a particular historical period or a social group. So it encompasses not only explicit belief in ideas, but also the more subtle and intangible aspects of culture, such as the ways in which people interact, communicate and feel about the world around them. A Valediction Forbidding Mourning is written by not only by John Donne, but also written by Adrian Rich. So that is our answer. And why? Because this A Valediction Forbidden Mourning, I think in 2017 they asked about 2016, I guess, yes, they asked, they have given the A Valediction Forbidden Mourning full poem, and we have to analyzed it in this was given for to analyze our literary criticism skills. So that's how I know, and while solving the problems previous year question paper. So remember, this is also one of the important poem, and they ask sometimes. So A Valediction Forbidden Mourning is by John Donne and also by Adrian Rich. In Donne's poem, it was published in 1633, and it is entitled as Songs and Sonnet. It was published in. The poem is known as for its metaphysical conceit or extended metaphor, which compares the love between the speaker and his wife to compass, with the two legs representing two lovers. That is one of the famous metaphor in the poem, that the lovers are compared with the campus, which is like the fixed center representing the unchanging love for each other. The poem is often interpreted as a farewell to Donne's wife before his departure on a long journey. Again, another was by Adrian Rich. It is also a farewell of a poet focusing on her inability to express her thought in conventional terms. In this poem, Rich talks about expressing herself through the frozen language of the others. 41. So we have discussed question 41. Let's finish it. I think 8 more questions are there and we can finish it. 50, and tomorrow we'll try to finish again 30 more, or we can just finish 50 more today. So 2023 will be completed, and if you have the book, that'll be good. You will revise it well, and if you don't want book, you can also have not printed but also ebook if you want. Anyway, 42 question says, which of the two poems are linked with each other in terms of form? So they're asking about the poem which are linked with the terms of form, so formatically, which are linked together. I won't show you the answer this time. The last ride together, Ulysses upon Appleton House to my Lord Fairfax. It is asking about the form, like Ulysses is dramatic monologue. Uh, to Penhurst and upon Apple House to my Lord Fairfax. What do you see common in that? So Ulysses seems dramatic monologue by, and again, the wasteland could not be because it is very complicated poem. The last ride together upon Appleton House to Lord. We'll just find the answer. It is C and D. So C, actually the answer is C. C is upon Appleton House to Lord, and D is Penhurst. And why? Because these both are country house poems. So that is why they are together, which were popular in 17th century. These poems describe the beauty, tranquility, country, and the noble family who lived together. The Last Ride Together is by Robert Browning, explore the theme of unrequited love, and the speaker is addressing to the beloved who is about to marry someone else. He asks for one last ride together before he lets her go. So the structure of the poem is dramatic monologue, and Ulysses is also dramatic monologue, but here they asked about form or from. It is form. So if it is form, it should be like so anyway, The Last Ride Together is dramatic monologue. Ulysses is also dramatic monologue, and we know it is about a poem about Ulysses, who is now an old man. Looking back on his life, he expresses his desire to set out on one final adventure, to seek new experiences and regain his former glory. Upon Appleton House to my Lord Fairfax is by Andrew Marvell, that celebrates the beauty of harmony of nature. The poem is written in the voice of a speaker, and it is structured as a series of description of the landscape. To Penhurst is a poem by Ben Jonson. It celebrates the beauty of country life, and the poem is written in voice of the speaker who is visiting the country state of his patron. The Wasteland, we know, is by T.S. Eliot, and we have discussed about it thoroughly. Here is just general introduction, like the poem is written by T.S. Eliot, and it makes allusions and quotes from Shakespeare, Dante, and Hindu mythology. So which of the following poems are written by Alexander? But you have to find which one is by Absalom and Achitophel is by Dryden, so we can eliminate. Cooper Hills is not. Moral Essays is by, and also the Dunciad is also by Pope. So A and B is the correct answer. The Dunciad is a mock heroic poem written by Pope, and it satirizes the literary and intellectual incompetence of the dunces of his time. Moral Essay is a collection of 4 poems by Pope and published in 1731, and it talks about ethical and philosophical theme. Grongar Hill is a poem by John Dyer in 1726. It describes the beauty of the landscape around the Grongar Hill in the Vale. So remember, Grongar Hill is by John Dyer, and Cooper's Hill is by John Denham in 1642. Absalom and Achitophel, we know it is by Dryden, published in 1681. Question number 44 says, identify the plays originally written by Vijay Tendulkar from the following. Tell me which one is written by. Fire and the Rain is by Girish Karnad, so no. The Vulture and the Encounter in Girish, it is about who? Vijay Tendulkar. He was kind of angry young man in Indian literature, you should remember that. A, C and D. So A, the cyclist and his fifth woman, and C number, the vultures and encounter in Umbangaland. Umbangaland. Anyway, D is Sakharam Bindar. All these three works are by Vijay Tendulkar, and the cyclist and his fifth woman talks about a successful man called Raja, businessman, and his extramarital affair with a young woman, Savitri. And Tendulkar wrote the play Gidhade, which is the vulture, published in 1961, but it was not produced until 1970. Sakharam Bindar is a play, and it is about a story about Sakharam Bindar is a man who takes in a woman as his concubine and treats them as his property. Other explanation, Fire and the Rain, is by Girish Karnad, and it takes the story legendary King Parikshit. And 45, identify the plays written by Ashif Karamboy. Ashif Karamboy is known for his work. You know, the dance Like a Man is by Mahesh Dattani. The Experiment with the Truth by, I think, Mahatma Gandhi, but answer is C also. Maybe he has written something. And The Princess, the Captive. So we have the answer A, B, C, B, C and D. So Asif Karamboy was an Indian playwright, and he wrote The Captives, Experimental with the Truth, and Angokar. Actually, they are talking about the plays. So The Captive deals with the political oppression and center around the group of prisoners held captive by military dictatorship. And Experimental with My Truth is by Mahatma Gandhi, right? Is a biographical play that is based on the life of Mahatma Gandhi. The play takes the fame and reflects on his life and philosophy. Angkor is another play which explores Cambodia during the reign of King Jayavarman. Other explanation, Dance Like a Man by Mahesh Dattani, and it also won National Award for Best Play in 1990. So the play explores the relationship between a mother and a father who are both former dancer. 46, which of the following are plays by Robert Greene? So Robert Greene wrote, I think about Robert Greene they have asked two questions, and the answer is Robert Greene wrote The Winter's Tale. This is the list of his work: Alphonsus, King of Aragon, and The Old Wives' Tale. Other explanation, the famous Chronicle of King Edward with his return to the Holy Land, also the life of Livonian rebel. This is not, you have to pay attention. Anyway, Eugene O'Neill wrote A Moon for the Misbegotten. That is actually a sequel to his earlier work with Long Day's Journey into Night. That is one of the important plays that we should know. And sometimes they ask about the character. So, which of the following two plays were written by W.B. Yeats? So, you're asking about The Plough and the Store is not by, but I think Messina or something. We'll just find out. And The Countess of Kathleen is by W.B.S. And A number, The Land of Heart's Desire is by W.B. Yeats. And the others we will just find out who wrote this. So The Land of Heart Desire is by W.B. Yeats. It's actually one act play, and the play is fairy tale set in the Irish countryside, and it explores themes of love, loss and supernatural. So The Land of Heart Desire is actually one act play by William Butler Yeats. The Countess of Kathleen we know is a play by William Butler Yeats, and it is based on an Irish folk tale and tells the story of a filthy woman who sells her soul to the devil in order to save the poor community from starvation. What a beautiful. Anyway, others sells their soul for some some cells for like personal fame or personal gain, but this lady has sold her soul for to save the poor people. So that is, remember. So who other has sold their soul to the devil? One is, of course, Dr. Faustus, and another sold, I think it was about art. The guy sells his soul, right? The picture of Dorian Gray is the picture of Dorian Gray is also there, but he signed the pact with the devil, but it was not like sold. The the painting was aging, but he was not aging. Another is there, uh, person who sold. It is about the art. So it is about the art. I don't know. It's something written by Patrick White, I guess. Okay, so we'll know, we'll find out and share in the group. Time and Conways in plays by J.B. Priestley, and the Silver Tassie is a play by Irish Sheen O'Casey. Acha. So the Plough and the Star is also written by Sheen O'Casey. That's the name I was trying to remember. Anyway, question number 48. Which among the following are true in the context of Chinua Achebe? So Chinua Achebe is true. So A, B, and C is true. He wrote Arrow of God and Things Fall Over, of course. His novelist as a teacher is a seminal essay in the context of everything. This question they have asked in, I think, both shift and also previously in 2022 and 2021. All they are asking, and also related to same like English in, like these days they are asking, no, like English in India. So they are also asking these days English in Africa, like Thiwa, Thiango is there. Of course, Chinua Achebe is there. So these two figures, and also Ben Okri is there, who also teach like English, right, in Africa. So these are things they are asking these days. Maybe in the next time they will ask something like in Pakistan or somewhere else, right? So anyway, he's a Kenyan born American literature. So these are, we have to find C. The name of the tribe he depicted in is Igbo, that is correct. And we have the explanation. He wrote Arrow of God, that is true. His novelist as a teacher is seminal essay in the context of African literature, that is correct. The name of the tribe he depicted is Igbo. He is a Nigerian born. He is not a Kenyan born, but a Nigerian born African literature. So he wrote the essay An Image of Africa, Racism in Conrad's Heart of Darkness. And he wrote the essay An Abolition of English Departure. That is by Thiango, I think. We'll just know. Identify the correct ones among the following. Again, 49 question. We have to find the correct answer. The Apology for Poetry is written by. So remember, Apology is by Sydney. Defense is by Shelley, and Abuse is by Gershom. So these we have to know. And the Defense of Rhyme is by Samuel Daniel. So these are, we should remember. Sir Philip Sidney wrote the Apology for Poetry as a counterblast to Stephen Gushon. That is true also. Stephen Gushon wrote the School for Abuse in the euphuistic style. Is that correct? We don't know. Yes. And Sydney's style was characterized by new classical restraint. That is not, because new classical was kind of far ahead, right? Sydney and Gershon wrote their critical treatise in the 18th century. Definitely not. They have written in the 17th. No, 16th century. Yeah. And choose the correct. A and C. Sir Philip Sidney, of course, wrote Apology for Poetry, and he talks about the main message is teach to inspire reader. And Sydney wrote Apology for Poetry, of course, for the Gushon, which was published in 1579, The School of Abuse. Gushon's work was written in style. Actually, this was very famous at that time. It was like wordplay, alliteration, and other radical devices. Sydney apologies, consider them put on anyway. Question number 50. This will be our last question, and tomorrow we'll continue this class. Today, somewhere around 3 to 4, I'll just schedule the class for paper 1. We are going to study paper 1 today, and tomorrow we'll do same thing. Even Sundays we are not taking break. We are going to continue, and if you want break, just tell me in the group. We can just take 1 day break if you want. Anyway, question number 50 says, which of the following works have not been written by Thomas Carlyle? Thomas Carlyle, we know it. He wrote, of course, Heroes and Hero Worship. He wrote The French Revolution. Of Human Bondage is by Truman Capote, right? Anyway, The Hour and the Man, Hudibras, is by Samuel Butler. And The Hour and the Man, we know 2A and B is written by, so is not written by. So these two is written by, not written by. C, of course, Hudibras. So C, any, where is the option? C, any. And D also, The Hour and the Man is not written by. So Of Heroes and Hero Worship is a book by Thomas Carlyle, we know, explore the concept of heroism at the role of heroes in society, and this is all based on, the book is divided into 6 lectures, each focusing on different heroes. So remember, Heroes and Hero Worship, it's talking about the main literary figure, major literary figures such as Odin, Shakespeare, Napoleon. So The French Revolution is another work by Thomas Carlyle, which is actually detailed history of the French Revolution. Of Human Bondage, Human Bondage is not by Capote, but it is by W. Somerset Maugham, and it was published in 1915. It tells the story of Philip Carey, an orphan. Remember this name, Human Bondage, Somerset Maugham, and the story about Philip Carey, that they ask often. And of course, he's clubfoot. They also ask about that. So his struggle, his place in the world to comes of, he's in the process. Anyway, The Hour and the Man is by Harriet Martineau, and Hudibras, of course, is by Samuel Butler. Okay, so that's done. Today we did our work. We have studied something like 30 questions today, and tomorrow we'll try to finish shift second if possible, otherwise we'll take another day. So your 2023 will be done in 2 days, in 2 class. So remember, paper 1 we are going to start today, and I'll share the link in the group. So be there. Anyway, I'll take a leave, and you also take a rest, and when we come back we'll study paper 1. And thank you so much, and have a great day.